Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and I'm taking care of business. Joining me today is Dustin Fuhs, who is co-editor-in-chief of Retail Insider, the national publication on the retail industry. Thanks, Dustin, for joining us again today.
No, it's great to be back. Can't wait for this topic. It's going to be a fun one.
All right, super. And as always, we turn the tables on me, and Dustin will be asking the questions. And our topic of discussion today is missed media opportunities. Free keyword, free missed media opportunities. So Dustin, let's start the conversation.
Absolutely. So imagine picking up the phone, talking to a brand and organization, and you've got a great idea for a story, and it's an earned media story. It's not sponsored, it's not advertising, you don't have to cut a check, you don't have to send a PayPal. And on the other end, the press person that you're talking with, either in marketing or communications, they're not used to that. So what are the initial things that press and communications folks are missing when a journalist reaches out for a free press opportunity? What are they missing?
Okay, let's again, free.
This
is a big thing, right? And what boggles my mind, to be honest with you, and I've been doing this like for 40 years, right? But what boggles my mind is when I see so many roadblocks and obstacles put in place when a journalist like myself, for example, is calling a company and saying, hey, notice that you're expanding, like you're opening a store in Chippewa, Ontario, right? And part of your national expansion. And it's when those kind of roadblocks come into place, or somebody A, doesn't respond to you, B, takes a long time to respond to you, and then sometimes, you know, point blank refuses, or not refuses, their choice obviously, but doesn't want to do it. And I sit there and I think, what is wrong with you guys?
Yeah.
Like, this is a free, you know, a free opportunity to tell your story, share your message, and amplify it to a wide audience. If it's in particular, say, Retail Insider, like you're looking at thousands and thousands of people, you know, that you can get your message across. And if I was a marketing and communications person, now granted, there may be some circumstances where you don't want to talk,
Sure.
But you know, 90%, 99% of the cases, when it's something like that, you know, you want to talk, you want to bend over backwards and deliver and help them, that media person, get that story. Basically, here's the silver platter, take it. All right. But
Yeah.
you know what? I'm finding more and more it's not as easy or simple as it seems.
Yeah, and so many of these, and we're not talking about the process just yet, because the process is where things get very weird. But if we reach out to XYZ company and we say, hey, we're going to do a story on your expansion, the conversation should be, here's everything about that location. Here's quotes from the CEO. Here's quotes, even if it's written. Here's something that is ready to go. And we want to help you tell the story, because what most media realize, that they've got the opportunity to amplify, but it's a very small opportunity, because you never know what tomorrow is going to bring. So if someone reaches out and says, hey, here's what's going on, I have this very limited time to have your story up. The world hasn't, you know, come crashing down yet, or a brand hasn't fallen or done something like that. You have this opportunity and you have to jump at it right then and there, because it may not come back around again.
No, exactly. And you know, there's a couple of things here, right? And you know, the number one thing, as you mentioned, is to have all that information in place. You know, I know we've talked about this before, but you know, for goodness sake, you know, have all the information available, have any kind of images available that need to be utilized, et cetera, right? And again, everything that's in place makes it easier for, say, a media person, a reporter, is fantastic, because a couple of things are happening here, right? The reporters, the resources are tapped in newsrooms. There's, they're basically running on bones, really, many newsrooms. So a lot of these reporters are doing multitasking type of roles, a number of stories they're working on. They don't have time to dig and maybe go through a company's website and find everything, and which can be challenging sometimes, as some of them are not easy to navigate. And then they don't have all the information a reporter has. So making it easier for a reporter in all senses is key. But the thing is, like, man, I wish I could tell people like that is, do you realize if you wanted a story and you're paying for it, so a paid content, sponsored content, do you realize how much money you're saving by the fact that a reporter is just calling you and wanting to do an editorial, right? And to miss that opportunity, to me, is mind-boggling, to tell you the truth.
What I find hilarious, and it's something that's come up a lot recently, is the external PR firms that are hired by companies to look after PR and the relationships. There's a lot of time that's wasted between the back and forth.
Yes.
Because they haven't set up the parameters of what happens when press come and they're asking for a basic thing, like, here's a Google Drive that just has headshots, it has images, it has the bare minimum, here's just to start, and then we'll feed you everything else.
Yeah. But
it just takes time, right?
Yeah, and you know what? That's the thing. And as we all know, no matter what industry you're in, whether you're in the news industry, journalism, or whether you're in communications or just in business itself, everybody's time is of the essence these days.
Yeah.
So anything that can be facilitated to ease that burden, and time constraints is wonderful, right? And you're right. Like, oh my gosh, sometimes the back and forth between communications people is insane. And sometimes just in setting up an interview, and that's, I get my wrists slapped sometimes because I get frustrated, and sometimes I end up going right to the source. I had one like that recently. It was an organization, and president and CEO, and I don't know how many times I emailed and I tried to connect with this organization's communication staff, right?
Yeah, you went through the proper channels,
which is kind of ironic, right? Communications staff, but they're not communicating. All right, no response, absolutely no response. Not even, hey, we've got this, and we're going to work on it. So I said, okay, excuse my language, but screw this. I looked up the president and CEO's email address, sent him a direct note. Boom, guess what? 10 minutes later, interview organized. And so that's the thing, like, that's what I'm talking about, obstacles and roadblocks. You can't, as a communications person, do that because, and on the flip side, bear in mind, journalists are humans, right? And they have the same kind of emotions that everybody else does. But when you're facing a situation where somebody doesn't respond, somebody putting up roadblocks or being difficult when something should be so darn easy, that sticks in your head. What happens the next time where Joe Blow from ABC Communications phones you up or sends you an email? Hey, Mario, got a great story for you. What do you think is going to go through my mind, right?
Like PTSD, I can't
just leave it at that.
Yeah. So with regards to the free opportunities, what are 3 lessons that we can give to the communications staff to work on for 2022 that would help journalists, not just, working on regular stories. We're talking about these free opportunities, these free things. What are 3 things that we can provide to the communication staff?
Okay, first and foremost, a timely response,
Yes.
a very, very quick response is like crucial. That is critical
Yeah.
in this. Okay, you have to do that, even if the response says no, we're not ready at this time. Okay, fine, boom. But just don't let it hang and have me send a second, a third email saying, so any thoughts on this? That's
Yeah.
number one. Number 2 is to have everything in place. That if you are going ahead and saying, yes, yeah, we'd love to do this. Oh, thanks for thinking of boom, boom, boom. Number 2, everything in place. That includes, you name it, like it includes all the information that's pertinent to that story, all the images and photos that are pertinent to that story, including the photo of the president or CEO of the company. Also, I would add, to save me or any journalist the time, especially in this digital age, is throw in all the social media links that your company has, so that when I'm publishing that story and on social media, I have all that handy and it goes out. And number 3, of course, is the timing of the interview. Let's get that done as soon as possible, because you know what? If I'm a journalist and and with a lot of availability, because my schedule as a journalist and anybody's schedule as a journalist is all over the place.
Absolutely.
Right? And like, as I say to people when I want to book an interview, I said, I need to get this done as soon as possible, because if you're telling me, say tomorrow at 10 a.m., how's that work for you? And I say, yes. Okay. And they say, you know what, we need to confirm that. Well, confirm it pretty darn quick, because my schedule is gets booked pretty quickly. Right. And so that 10 a.m., if I don't hear about it till 8 o'clock tonight, I might have said, you know what, I don't know if they're going to confirm or not. I need an interview done and somebody else is coming in, so I book it. Right. So number 3, get that interview done as soon as possible with a bunch of availabilities, and go from there.
Now, I'll put at the very end, one of the big things to realize with free opportunities, earned media, is that partnership is essential. So if we know that we are going to be putting something out, for example, on Retail Insider, and it's a good news story, we put it out on LinkedIn to 29,000 followers. If I connect this and I put all the links in there for the organization and everything, if it's a good news story, the organization should want to share that.
Yeah.
And then it goes into an idea where these brands are utilizing good news as a way to create engagement. So having those conversations, it's such an important thing.
Exactly. And I think, the smart companies, and I've worked with a few of them that understand the true, as a former colleague of mine called it, the power of the exponential. That's why, and the second point, when I ask, give me all your social media links, right? And because you've got to be also ready to pounce on that opportunity, because it's kind of funny, because today was a good example. I'm not going to mention the company, but it was a few days after a story in Retail Insider, and now they're resharing it, right? And you know what? That's not too bad, because it's only a couple of days after. But I've seen posts shared by and reshared and liked by companies like weeks later, and I'm thinking, man, you've got to be poised and ready to, as soon as that goes out, to link to share it, right? And my God, my goodness, the power of that is unbelievable. I see it sometimes in some posts. A quick note. I shared a post, was it a couple of well, it was last month. Yeah, about a month ago. It was just
Okay.
about being laid off and what I do on my days when I've been laid off 6 years ago, and how I take time to relax and enjoy myself that
Yeah,
day.
January 16th.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
January 19th. Sorry.
19th. Sorry.
2016. But
Yeah.
but the number of people that liked and shared it, I can't remember the last number, was in the hundreds, like about 20,000 views. I did a post just yesterday on a gentleman that I knew as a close friend who passed away 7 years ago, 2 days ago. And the same thing with that. We're into the hundreds in terms of likes and shares. And you know, the views are like about 5,000. So that's the power of the exponential. And holy smoke, as you said, you know, it is a free opportunity, and and it's free to get it into Retail Insider, which is great. But man, if you get on the social media train and help it, give it an additional boost, it's going to be sailing.
Yeah, and that's all part of this adventure of being prepared, being ready, being prepared in the back end, knowing that there is a chance that if you open up a new store or you have a good news story, you may not be aware of it as an internal or an external PR company. So be prepared to jump on it as quick as possible.
Yep. And you know what, Dustin, on the flip side of that, of course, we've been talking about when I, as a journalist, call up and say, hey, I see you're doing some interesting things. I want to do a story. The flip side of that is obviously when we're connected, when we are the recipients of the reach out, right? And that's when, to me, you got to be even more so diligent in doing all that stuff, because you're the one reaching out, asking for this, right? And so like it again boggles my mind if you don't make that path easier for the journalists after reaching out to them with the story idea.
Nope, fully agree, and can't wait to continue our adventures in the future. I know that we've got a lot of conversations about interviews and topics and everything coming up, so it'll be a fun one in the next few weeks.
All right, super. Thanks, Dustin, for joining us today.
No, it was a blast. Looking forward to the next one.
All right, that was Dustin Fuhs, who is co-editor-in-chief of Retail Insider. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and this has been Taking Care of Business. Thanks for joining us today.